welcome back to CNC Equipment's YouTube channel. We got something a little bit different today. We got a dozer video going on. I actually sold this 700J dozer to a customer a few days ago, and it messed up while he was running it. So you guys notice it's backed into place. Normally we pull everything forward so it's facing the road when it's for sale, but he was test driving this unit around and it won't go forward, so that's why it's sitting in reverse. Shut it off, recycle everything. Yeah, it would pick up forward again, so he put a deposit down on it to hold it, so I got to fix it here. This used to be an X-pipe layer dozer. It's really low hours and stuff. I think it's like a 06, so it's getting a little older, so it's probably got an electrical issue or something like that. So under here is what they call a transmission controller, and it's going to have our codes and stuff under here for what's going on. These earlier ones on the John Deeres, can't really get much through the dash, maybe some engine codes or something like that, but all your transmission codes are going to be back here in this transmission controller. Now around 2010 or so, they got an updated dash, and you can read most of the codes through the dash. It does not look good. So you guys can see that thing is nasty looking and all green. That's a problem with these. So this dozer's, I guess, 18, 19 years old at this point. And these transmission controllers are starting to get to the age, especially these open cab dozers, where they're going bad, corroding. So we're going to cross our fingers that that's not an issue. Under this big mess here is a display screen, believe it or not. And we've got buttons under here. We're going to turn the key on and see if we can get some codes to pop up here before we go and move it. Still reading. I'm going to cycle through the menu. It says code. I'm going to take a picture of some of these codes. That's on here. It's a F3H4, F3EO, F3A5, F385, that's a mistrack code, I think. F321. That's it. So what I'm going to do now, I took a picture of all those codes. We could have old codes in there. I think if I hold the select button down here, it should erase them here. Yep. F300 means we have no codes. That's back to normal. Go back and check it again. No codes. Alright, I got all the codes erased. We're going to fire this thing up and see what it does. Hopefully it goes in forward so I can get it in the shop. Or get it out of this parking spot, at least. Let's see what happens here. Got forward. It's gonna be a little cold. It's cold out here. When that yellow light's flashing on these, it means it's in warm-up mode. It won't let you rev up. So I'm gonna run around here a little bit until we see if we can get a code to pop up again. Another thing I want to do here, we're going to select diagnostics. We're going to go to check the drive motor speeds. Reading RPM on the left-hand track motor. Go to the right-hand track motor. We're reading RPMs on that, so that kind of tells me that our speed sensors are working. I want to check one other thing. I'm going to check to make sure we're reading engine RPMs. Alright, here's the engine RPM. Looks like we're reading that. 15 minutes out here in the cold. It's never once hicked up at all. That guy took it and run it no more than probably a minute or two. It messed up. We shut it off, recycled it, did it again. That was just 2 or 3 days ago in the same type of weather. And of course it's not doing it today. Now it is coming up to speed. Well, I'm guessing this transmission controller is probably going wacky. We'll pull it inside and get those codes off there and make sure I don't have any codes here. No codes right now, but you guys can see how wet and muddy that thing is. It's been covered in dust. We'll read those codes and we'll go from there. Alright, pulled up these codes here. We got 6 codes. If you guys don't have a book, I highly recommend you getting a book. You got these codes pop up. You can call your John Deere dealer. Don't call us because I'm the only one that has access to the codes. The guys answering the phones are just salesmen. They don't have them. And we're not a John Deere dealer. So if you guys got codes, you don't have a book, call your local John Deere dealer. They will get you what they mean. So we got 6 codes. A lot of random stuff. We got left forward pump coil short, forward neutral switch open. That could explain why it wasn't going into forward sometimes. We got it left reverse pump coil, left forward pump coil open, right hand speed sensor short, and low volts on the TCU. So these could all happen at different times, but what happens is we can't get those codes to replicate right now, and we could start chasing this stuff. It's wiring and plugs and speed sensors and stuff like that. I've seen this a lot of times before, and I'm not going to say I'm right here, but we'll find out here after a bit. It's hard to fix something that's not broke. I've had enough experience with these. When we start getting a bunch of wacky codes on stuff, it's either a plug, but 90% of the time it's a transmission controller, especially when they look like this one does. And I was having these rebuilt by a company, and I still got a few on the shelf yet rebuilt, and I may even have one for this one. But I actually learned what they were doing to it. They were charging quite a bit of money. I want to say in the thousands of dollars to fix those, and they're just replacing about $2 with the parts. So I actually learned how to do that. So that transmission controller from John Deere is about $5,000 or so right now. So it's kind of crazy, but I'm not going to go chasing all these codes and plugs or anything like that. We're going to get that transmission controller popped off there and take a look at it. Alright, I'll shut the power off. The only thing you need is a 1/4 inch socket to take these 2 plugs out, and then we got 4 10mm bolts. You guys seen a bunch of that that coating, that paint blowing off there. These have like aluminum housing and they're powder coated and they don't stick. And what happens, mice and rodents and stuff get up here and camp out, and it just messes a lot of stuff up. Plus they're old and been sitting outside. You guys can see they hold moisture and all that good stuff. So the ground lug on this one corner, it's really important to make sure it's clean. That one doesn't look terrible. Whenever you see them looking like this, it's usually a telltale sign that they're on the outs. It's nasty. Alright, we're going to open this thing up. I washed it off, cleaned the dirt off and stuff off of it. This is the main reason how these things get water and stuff in them. This is just a sticker that's glued on. You guys can see that's open inside that computer housing, so they get moisture and stuff in there. If we can't get this thing working, we'll probably blast this case, repaint it, glue these things back on. This is a keypad. This is just stuck on there too. There is a plug attached to that, so when we get this case off, we'll have to unplug that. They just have a bunch of little torque screws here. We'll pull those out. We'll pull this back cover off. Alright, we got this board off here. We got some dirt and dust and a little bit of moisture in there. So the main thing that goes bad on these things is these two capacitors right here. I had a bunch of these replaced by an electronics company. I'll get this wire out of the way. The only thing they were doing or repaired, the only thing they were doing was put new capacitors in them. So I've had luck of doing that on a couple of them, so I thought I'd bring you guys along, change them. I'm by no means electronics expert. I don't know what any of this stuff does, but I do have the means to test those. Normally those are kind of like a battery. They keep a certain amount of electrical current in them, and they only have a certain lifespan on them. So these are 330 microfarads, 63 volt ones. I may have a couple of these here. If not, we'll get some, replace those. We'll clean everything up. We're going to have to blast this case and go from there. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit, and then we'll try to extract these. Alright, first thing we're going to do here while that board's kind of drying out, I blowed it off. We're going to go ahead and get this prepped and cleaned up. I'll pop this switch panel out. I'm going to go blast this thing over in the bead blaster cabinet. We'll go ahead and get some paint on this thing so it can be drying, and hopefully we can get it back together here. Alright, got that all blasted up, cleaned up. That's just aluminum case. I'm going to put some black spray paint on it, let that dry. Then we'll work on that board. Alright, I'm going to test these things before we cut them all the way out. So we got the two capacitors here. This third, I don't know if you guys can see that there. That third thing is basically just a stiff leg. So we're going to discharge any energy that's in them by touching those two terminals together, hopefully. Do the same thing on this one over here. And I have what they call a microfarad tester here. I bought that at a local shop, radio shop. So we've got it turned on. So these are 330 microfarads. It's barely reading. I had, I think, 7 or 8 microfarad. Yeah, there's 7, 10. That one's not doing real good. We'll test this one here. That one's about the same thing, 9 or 10. So I was told if they don't read within 10% of what they're supposed to, what's wrote on the side, then they're no good. So I've got a brand new one here. Open it up and test it just to make sure everything's working right here. So this is a 330 microfarads, 63 volts. You guys see that screen light up there now? Reading 323. That's close enough. That's within 10% or less. So we know we've got 2 bad capacitors there. That's probably what was causing all of our problems. So these things are very inexpensive. You guys see that price tag there, $1.35. We have a local radio supply store. It still carries this stuff. I know you can buy these online. I was told to make sure that you get high quality ones. So I've seen these as cheap as 80 cents online. But anyway, that's pretty minute in the scheme of things. I'm going to put this back up. Those do test bad. So I'm going to flip this back over. We'll get all the silicone cut out around here. I got a desoldering iron, and I also have some desoldering tape. You kind of put that on there with the iron, and the old solder will suck up in there. Then you can pull these out, and then we'll resolder in a couple new ones. Alright, so here's the old capacitor, here's the new capacitor. You guys can see there's quite a bit difference in size. They do the same thing. You just got to make sure they're the same. Let's both say 330, both say 63 volts. So if we look, I got this all cleaned up. If we look on this board real close, I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a positive and a negative where these two things go through. So same thing on there. We got a negative right there and a positive over here. So notice the old ones had 3 legs on them. All capacitors that I've seen just have 2 legs. The extra third leg is just for keeping it a little bit stronger, if that makes sense. So we're going to get these put in here. I'm going to put some flux over those holes. I'm not a professional solderer by no means. There's hundreds of videos on YouTube. You can go watch how to solder and desolder on these electronic circuit boards. That's what I'm using for desoldering tape. I do have a plunger. It sucks the solder out, but I found this is better. Then I'll heat the holes up and put that on there, and it just sucks it out of there and clean them up that way. I'm just using some lead acid base pocket solder, 31 thousandths diameter. Again, all this stuff is very reasonable, and I'm just using a Wheeler, I don't know how you say it, just nice. I got a real fine tip on there, just a soldering iron. So again, there's hundreds of videos on YouTube on how to do that stuff. I'm not a professional by no means, but I know enough to be dangerous. So I'm going to get some flux and stuff. We'll get these shoved through here, get those soldered on, and we'll cut the extras off, and hopefully we can put it back together and try it. So alright, there we go. We got 2 new capacitors soldered in. We should be good to go there. I'm going to go check that paint next door, and we'll go ahead and get this thing reassembled. And we should be golden. Alright, got our new cover, or new refurbished color. Actually painted it with the cast aluminum paint. I didn't have any flat black, but we got it painted inside and out. First thing we're going to do is glue these switches back in. We're just going to use some super glue here on that. Just pretty simple setup. A little down here. Hold that down for a few seconds, let that glue in real good. Then we'll glue in the screen over here. I got it kind of cleaned up. Alright, we're going to put our little switch plug back in there. Alright, got that all rebuilt back together. New capacitors, simple tools. I got a T10 Torx and a T15 Torx is all it takes to take this thing apart. Just basic tools. There's my soldering iron. I'll try to put, there's the model of it, but anything will work. Solder and paste. And I got this all our local radio shop. There's actually an old school radio repair shop yet left in town. So I've done a few of these already. Some of the earlier ones on the H series dozers use a different capacitor, but most of these J series are all using these 330 microfarad 63 volt capacitors. So I want to get some more of those. Those are the last two I had. So far, knock on wood, I've had good luck out of them. So I reached out to Sayer Danfoss. That's who makes this. It's an MC300 microprocessor. I even talked to him at a trade show. They pretty much told me these are obsolete. They're not supporting them or anything else. Now John Deere is getting them made. I did reach out. I was trying to get these maybe reproduced overseas, but that didn't go so well. I did find a place that was, you can still get them like in Germany. I guess they're still making them. But there's about 6 different models of these things. They're going to range anywhere from 1999 all the way up to really up to 2015 or so on these dozers. So the later ones will not have this push button keypad. If you guys remember from earlier, I said the later dashes like 2009, 2010. You do a lot of stuff up through the dash. They'll do away with this keypad. That way you don't take that cover off to diagnose. But it's the same basic shape and everything. There's just some internally parts, I guess electronic stuff that's different. But this little repair job should cover anything 450 through 700s. The H series, J series. I've not messed with the K series yet, but that's going to cover about 16 years of machines there on these controllers. Like I say, this part is anywhere from $4,500 to $5,500 at John Deere. It's pretty crazy. So this should give it some new life for sure. There's some rebuild shops out there rebuilding these. I will tell you, they first started charging me about $1,250, and at the end they got up to around $2,200, and they were doing a very poor job. They was not blasting. They just throw some black spray paint over them. These stickers wasn't really, or these keypads and stuff really wasn't attached very well, but that's kind of key to keep the moisture and water and everything out there. But just simple super glue, you can glue those back on. But I'd highly recommend blasting them, getting all the old powder coat off. We used a Duplicolor engine enamel on that. So I'm going to get that all cleaned up. We'll put this on. And one thing we will have to do, since this all has been apart, new capacitors, we will have to recalibrate this transmission. So the first thing we'll do, we'll go through a sensor calibration. That's going to be the steering inputs, deaccelerator pedal, throttle inputs, that kind of stuff. Once that passes, then we'll go through a pump threshold test. There's 2 little pilot control pressures, PCPs under there. Basically there's 2 wires going to them. It tells the pumps to go forward and reverse, a little electronic coil in there. It's going to do those, and then the third thing of the test, it's going to do a tracking test. So the dozer will take off and drive forward and backwards and get it tracking straight and true. So hopefully we don't have any hiccups in that. If we do, we'll have to adjust some pressures and sensors, but low hours as dozer is, it should be okay on that. So I'll get her cleaned up and we'll stick her back in her and see. Alright, one thing that is important is this ground here. I did clean the ground off. We're going to put a couple star washers on here just to help out with the grounding. 10mm holds it on. And a 1/4 inch socket. We'll tighten these 2 plugs up. Okay, that's it. We're going to turn the battery disconnect back on, try it out here, and see if it'll work. Alright, we'll turn the key on. We're all lit up, looking nice and good. It says park brake. Turn that off, looks like she's working. So I'm gonna go ahead and fire it up, get it warmed up, and we got to do a calibration on it. So I would make sure that it actually works here first. Driving forward, backing up. Alright. Before I leave the shop, I'm going to let this thing warm up here and we'll do the sensor calibration in the shop here. You guys, I've done this a few times on videos. I'll walk you guys through it real quick here on this, but I'll let it warm up and bring you guys back. Alright, we're going to go to the calibration here. We're going to hit select and hold it down. Alright, got to hold that select button down for a few seconds. It's going to go through a couple numbers. First thing it says is park. We're going to put our park brake down. It's going to go to decel B. It's all the way down. Now it's telling us decel high. It's going to be all the way up. Now it says down. What that means is the speed control needs to go down. Now it says to go up. Now it's saying R steer, so that's going to be right steering. Left steering. Neutral. Right counter rotate. There's a D10 over here. There's a left counter rotate. Again, I'm just doing everything it's telling me to. Now it says to go into forward. Says neutral, that says reverse, and back to neutral. Next thing should be the throttle and be decel low, so we're not going to go in the brake function. Now decel high. Now it's going to say throttle high. You want to move these all slow and smooth too, don't be real quick on them. Throttle high, now it says throttle low, nice and smooth. Okay, push next. Now it says throttle high, so what it's going to do is going to start calibrating those pumps. We'll have to put it forward. We'll let it sit here and do its thing. After it goes to the forward cycle, it's going to do the reverse. Alright, now we're doing the reverse. Hopefully if it gets done back, cross the fingers, everything's good. The next thing will be, we'll do a slow speed tracking and then a fast speed tracking. It says neutral. Okay, push next. Forward low. When we put it forward low, it tells us to go 1.5, but it'll tell you to go up or down with that switch. Now it says neutral, reverse low. Backing up. What it's doing, it's getting the drive motors where it tracks straight. Neutral. Push next. We passed that. Now we're going to go forward high. Move the steering along. That's neutral. Okay, push next. That should be it. Make sure there are no codes. No codes. Man, that went slick. I'll drive around here a little bit, make sure it's all good. Alright, all is good to run around. It's driving straight, tracking straight, turning right, speeds are going up and down. So very simple little fix. It's simple in my eyes at least. just a $3 couple, $1.50 parts, $3 worth of parts, a few little tools, and that is fixed. So I am not an expert by no means. If you guys see anything I might be doing wrong, or let me know in the comments, but hopefully this helps out a lot of people. I know I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on brand new controllers and getting them rebuilt, just to come to find out that's just a little simple part. So if you guys don't feel comfortable doing stuff like that, I don't recommend doing it. But if you do have, most places will have a radio shop or somebody that messes with that kind of stuff. Maybe at least get the transmission controller out, take that board out and take it in there to them, tell you need a couple capacitors changed, and they'll probably do that very reasonable for you. I know our local shop will do that, but you want to go out and buy the tools and stuff, it's pretty simple. Like I say, I just watched a few YouTube videos on desoldering and changing out capacitors like that, so there's a bunch of stuff on that. That's how I learned to do it. It's a little different than just, you know, soldering wires together and stuff like that. Maybe even get you a junk circuit board, practice on that a couple times, and go from there. That's the best thing to do. So, but hopefully this video saves somebody thousands of dollars. I know it's helped me out a bunch. That's like the third or fourth one I've done so far, so everyone I've done, knock on wood, has been just fine. So this should fit, as I said earlier. This fix should be good for anything 450, 550, 650, or 700 H through J series dozers. I've not messed with the K's too much. A lot of the stuff, even all your trucks and cars and radios, all have those little capacitors in them. Like I said earlier, I learned a lot about this stuff when I went into it. They just have a limited lifespan on that kind of stuff, so they're kind of like a battery. They only last for so long, and then they go bad. But 99% of the time, that's all it is just a little tiny dollar part. So I'm going to probably go back to the mom and pop shop, support them, get some more capacitors to keep them in business instead of buying them online. Yeah, get me a stock of those put up. So hopefully you guys like this video. Hopefully it helps some people out. Save them a few $1,000s for sure. If you did, do me a big favor, go down below, hit that thumbs up button. It lets YouTube know that we're doing the right thing, and us too. So if you guys got any comments on anything, drop them down below. Do not ask me to rebuild your transmission controllers, because I do not have the time and I'm not going to do it. I'm not an electronic shop. I'm just repairing my own stuff. I'm just putting this video out there to help you guys. So do not call in here to these guys, ask them about this stuff. I have no idea. You guys got any of those codes, call your John Deere dealer. Again, I am not fixing any of these. I'm just showing you guys how I do it. So hopefully you can do it, or have somebody else that's kind of in the electronic industry fix it for you. So hopefully everybody appreciates the video. We thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.